Today I'm going to be speaking about how to find an idea in crypto. It sounds like an easy topic, but it's actually quite difficult. And so I'll walk through some of the steps in finding the right ideas in crypto, and then I'll also talk about how to find a co-founder. Um, I'd love to see a raise of hands for those that are looking to start a company. Okay. It turns out Hackathon is a great way to find the resourcefulness that you're looking for in other co-founders before you start a startup. It's like a great stress test, so I'll walk kind of us through some design exercises as well. So I'm Imran. I'm one of the founders of Alliance, which is a crypto accelerator program. We've had startups like Tensor, which is an NFT marketplace on Solana. We have 0x, DYDX, Kyber, and many, many others that have gone through our program. We've supported over 200 founders and teams globally, and we have a team of 20 that has expertise in many areas of crypto to help support our founders. We take about 20 to 25 startups per batch twice a year, and the goal is to make sure that our founders are successful. And the way we do that is in 4 steps. One is helping you find the right idea. 2 is product validation, so helping you get and source your first 50 to 100 customers. 3 is helping you with the design, or what I call like the game theory design, which could be a token, it could be a game, it could be speculation. And the last is, kind of regulatory support and hiring and things like that. And obviously, there's a demo day where we help support our founders through, VC introductions and things of that nature. So it turns out the easiest way to build something, to find a great idea, is to figure out what are the things that your close network of friends or family are going through. What are some of the hurdles that they're going through, and how do you solve for that? And it turns out like the often ideas that you'll find are things that haven't been solved, but they seem very easy. I call this like low-hanging fruit. And the way you'd want to think about that is in 4 steps. One is, oftentimes, the people that are closest to you are the ones that are going to have areas of opportunities in terms of like onboarding. So an example of this is, how do you onboard the everyday user into crypto? 2 is, how do you think about the problems that they're seeing in the space? So an example of this I can give is, within crypto, it's very hard to find consumer applications that could solve real-world problems. So thinking about ways where you could leverage crypto as a way to enable some sort of problem that they're going through and being able to solve that. 3 is, from a game perspective, like, there's a lot of, Web 2.5, Web 3 games. But the core aspect of the games that people are building, what parts of that is crypto, and how do you enable that to be a way that you could drive more users to the platform? And the last but not least, the way I see this is taking what I think is, this is a very controversial topic, but people often say that speculation is actually a very bad thing for crypto. I think the counter, which is, I think speculation's very good. It's just you have to embrace it in a way that could be net positive. And so some examples I can give you from this is, Frontech has used speculation in a way that can enable some positive activity, which is like using speculation as a way to create more social activity, as an example. You saw a recent development with FriendPet, which is another like kind of speculative game where you feed a pet, you deposit some ETH, and there's this virtual cycle where the friend, as you feed the pet, then you get some points, and then et cetera, et cetera. I don't think they're breakout apps yet, but these are the early instantiation of products that can be built by using speculation. So I'll talk a bit more about that. The other mistake that I see that people make when they come into crypto is they usually do something that's part-time. And the problem with this is that it's very hard to find the right problems if you aren't full-time. And so here's like a perfect example. In DeFi Summer, for those that have participated in DeFi Summer, one of the biggest problems back then was the fact that onboarding was a mess. On-ramping, off-ramping was a mess. The ability to yield farm and all of the other things that come around it was a mess. And there's many products that solve this today, like Yearn, that kind of aggregates yield, liquidity, and helps find the best yield, etc. There's many things that have solved, but the only way you could actually find out of a problem is if you personally experience it. And the only way you could experience it is if you're full-time and you're actually using the products. 50% of the time I talk to founders that are trying to solve a problem, turns out they haven't even used the product itself, or they haven't actually experienced the sector that they've been a part of. So what I say to the founders that are that's trying to solve a problem in their space, in their domain, is to start to use the products and start to experience what users go through. If you haven't been rugged yet, go get rugged. I mean, that's kind of the examples I'm giving you, because those are the only ways you'll be able to find the problems that the everyday user goes through. And this is kind of, coming to my next point, which is, I think every person that comes into crypto has a superpower. And what I mean by this is everyone has a special domain expertise. Whether you have a love for AI, whether you have a love for security, whether you have a love for consumer, all of these domain expertise is very important when it comes to crypto, because what crypto enables you to do is helps you build a product that's very differentiated. I think of crypto as a layer that sits on top of all of the verticals that exist today. And the idea is, how do you take the domain expertise that you have, or of special sectors that are out there, and using crypto as a way to build products that are very, very unique. So an example I can give you is Amir Halim, who's the founder of Helium. He founded a company that allows you to mine coins, and what you have to do is share your internet connection into a Wi-Fi connection. Then he started with hotspots. Now he's building a mobile network that sits on top. It turns out his experience goes further back, and it turns out it has a lot to do with networking infrastructure. And so he leverages his experience with networking infrastructure to build something that's very differentiated in crypto. And it turns out that is what is unique. If you look at the competitors for Helium, there aren't many. I'd probably say there's probably none. And so what I'm saying here is there's a unique DNA that every person has. Use it to your advantage, and don't shy away from it. Here's a list of how to not find winning ideas in crypto, and you hear about this quite often. People always tell you to talk to users. I think it's important to talk to users, but talking to users and leveraging taking their feedback accordingly is probably something that I wouldn't advise. So there was a funny meme that was being shared around Twitter a couple months ago. I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't, you should look it up. But it was a meme of an iPhone that had a antenna. It had a VCR. It had a bunch of different gadgets that was attached to the iPhone. And the top of the meme, it says if Apple took advice from every customer that gave them feedback. It was a very weird looking product. But it tells you something, right? What it tells you is that customers oftentimes don't know what they want, and they will tell you things, and it may sound right to you at the offset, but it really turns out the real insight is solving a problem that they don't know yet exists. And that is kind of the special power of what I call what a founder should be really thinking about, which is what is the core root problem of this customer, and then validating that across all the other customers that give you this feedback. So going back to my point, which is when you talk to customers, try to figure out the root problem, but don't take their feedback literally. This is obviously a funny one, but I agree with this, which is oftentimes VCs write a lot of reports, but it turns out oftentimes it doesn't land the way it does because they aren't very close to the customers. And so a lot of the ideas you may see may sound great, but ultimately you're not going to find out about the problems that your customers are going to go through unless you talk to them. And so I would advise read the VC thesis papers, that's fine, but oftentimes that's not where you're going to find your next billion-dollar idea. You're going to find your next billion-dollar idea by either you yourself going through the problem, by going full-time and going through the problems that everyday users go through, or talking to customers and understanding like your close friends and family and seeing what problems that they're going through and being able to find a problem that, that you're able to solve. I also want to touch on how to find a co-founder. And the reason why I'm bringing this up in a hackathon is because oftentimes founders that find another co-founder, oftentimes it's at a hackathon. And I think when I think about hackathons, yes, we're all here to have fun, you know, hacking, and it's just a great way to network and meet people. But sometimes someone has a lightning in the bottle moment, and that lightning in the bottle moment turns out to be a billion-dollar idea. And I'll give you a couple examples. 2017, I was a judge at, or 2018, I was judge at ETH San Francisco, and Incidap team flew in from India, and I was one of their judges, and I actually judged them, and I gave them the thumbs up to get the reward to be a winner at ETH San Francisco. And I didn't think about it at the time, but it turned out to be a billion-dollar idea. Same thing happened with 1inch, and same thing happened with many, many other startups that came out of these ETH events. What I'm saying here is have fun, but also keep it back of your mind that, you know, if you're really here to build something big, you know, you should take some precautionary steps. And I want to go through just how to find a co-founder because I think it's important if you're looking for someone as you're building this out. How many of you have a co-founder already? How many of you do not have a co-founder yet? Okay. So this might be useful for you. And I think this will be useful for those that have a co-founder because there's some exercises that you guys can do to really test and see the validation of the bond, of the connection, and some of the other things I'll be talking about. I guess I have 5 more minutes, so I'm going to try to run through this. But what's important is like the why, what, and synergy. Why are you guys teaming up? You know, are you guys aligned in terms of how you see the future? What problems are you solving, and do you feel like you're aligned from that perspective? Can you trust each other? Do you feel like both of you have high agency? You know, how do you go through stress and the ability to be resilient when you're going through problems as a founder or co-founders? And it turns out like one of the biggest reasons why founders break up is because of stress and not being able to handle it. Second biggest reason is trust. And so there are ways to do fact patterns to figure out whether or not both are resilient. Oftentimes, Paul Graham says this, and many others say this, which is like having co-founders always a net positive. I tend to agree, but it doesn't mean that you can't start a company being a solo founder. But it'll help you if you want to grow fast and expand and things like that. But some of the reasons is like productivity, ideation, and being able to get moral support. And it turns out like stress, although it's heavy, being able to have someone that you can lean on is also very, very important. And it helps you in terms of being able to scale and grow fast. What I look for in co-founders is, are they domain experts? Who wants wealth? Who wants control? A perfect example of this is the Coinbase co-founders, Fred and Brian. Brian is the control, meaning that he wants to be the face of the company. He wants to have the direct control of how the company builds, accrues value, and where it's strategically going to go next. Fred was more on the wealth side. He goes, look, I'm here to build this company and make it generational, but I don't necessarily need to be the person that's under control. And it turns out control is also another big problem in terms of why founders break up, because both want control. So when you're looking for a co-founder, think about who wants to be control and who wants the wealth. And oftentimes, this is a good way to stress test and to see who can sit on one side. This is very obvious. Do they complement you? Obviously, you want to find people that you can work with that complement you, and making sure that there's very little overlap, because as a company, you're going to be wearing 4 to 5 different hats. And when you wear those hats, you want to make sure that they're wearing hats in different domains, so that way you can scale quickly. A good book I can recommend is Elad Gil's book on how to scale a company. And it talks about how to appropriately scale a company when you find product market fit. And this is a stress test I advise all co-founders to do when you're starting a company. It's very important. It takes 5 to 10 minutes. An example is, does anyone know Tensor, the NFT marketplace on Solana? No? Okay. They went through a program and they did this test when they found each other. And it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes long. They did this at a hackathon. So for those that are looking for a co-founder, I even probably would do this for people that already have a co-founder. Kind of gives you an alignment in terms of where each other are. Why do you want to start a startup? Where's your priority in your life? Are you control wealth oriented, which is something that is very important when you ask a co-founder this. What's important to you? Top 3 to 5 traits when you're hiring someone. Any ongoing commitments, and what happens if we make no money in 12 months? Actually, the last point is very important, which is like, what happens if you make no money in 12 months? This is when you know like if someone's all in or not. And you want people that are all in. And this is the rest of the questions here. You can take a picture of it if you'd like, but I think it's being streamed, so you could rewatch the stream to get the questions. So I'm going to end it here. And if you're looking for your next startup idea in crypto, we have a ton. If you visit our website, alliance.xyz/ideas. And if you, we are offering mentorship today, tomorrow, and Sunday. You could book time with me by scanning this QR code or with any of our expertise here at India. But scan this QR code, you can find time with me. I'd love to learn about what you're building and how I can help you and help you get to product market fit. Thank you so much.